Thank you for joining us. I'm Mary Yanez, Director of the Senior Adult Program, and this is Mature Living. We have a great program planned out for you today. We're going to be talking about June, which is June is Elder Abuse Awareness Month. And with us today is a good friend and very active in the community with Adult Protective Services, Grace Ortiz. She's also one of our professors, our instructors that teach with our program, and she might even mention that at the end. Maybe we'll mention your class, which is a very interesting class that we offer free. As a matter of fact, registration is ongoing already, and you can register for our senior adult program classes, and we'll give you a number at the end also so you can go get a pencil. And also we're going to be talking about with a doctor from the Foot Institute, and so we need to take care of our feet, especially if we have diabetes, and diabetes is pretty rampant in El Paso, so we need to take care of our health. Okay, so let's begin. You work for Adult Protective Services, and you are the faith-based community engagement specialist for El Paso, and there's others throughout the Texas as well, I'm sure. But what is Adult Protective Services?
So Adult Protective Services is a state agency that investigates cases of abuse, neglect, and exploitation for individuals who are age 65 and older and persons with disability between 18 and 64.
Right.
So our job is to go out and see if they're being abused, neglected, or exploited, and we want to help. We want, there's a misunderstanding out in the community. We're very much misunderstood, Ms. Mary.
Yes. For years, as a matter of fact.
I just don't know the stigma, why people just think, oh my goodness, the state gets involved, or oh my goodness, this agency is involved. If we're involved, we want to help. We want to make a difference in the life of a senior. But we all have to do this together, and don't look at us as a bad agency, but an agency who's trying to help somebody live a better life.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that when you come to do an assessment that they're going to take you out of your home or anything like that. It's just to help. Maybe you need services. Maybe a senior is needing some services, and there are nearly 4.1 million seniors
in the state of Texas right now. And so you'll know the difference is last year, just so you get an idea, 81,000 cases came to the state of Texas so that we could investigate. Of those 81,000, a little bit like 3,539 were investigated here in El Paso. Okay. It's not enough because we have so many more seniors here in El Paso.
Do we lose funding if we don't get those reports in? And when we say report, we want to help.
Yes, and like I said, maybe the word report causes people to get fearful. Yes. There's no need to be fearful. Again, it's an agency that once we get this report and we go out, we're going to do a safety assessment. And who knows, we might be able to help you with food, pay some medications,
air conditioner,
turn on your air conditioning, figure out what's really happening in your home and why it's happening. Or maybe someone's taking advantage of your money. We can stop it. Yes. Of those 3,000 that came into El Paso, just think 2,266 were valid, meaning it was happening. But it's still not enough, Mary. Yeah. We have so many seniors in our community.
And it's a protective agency, so we want to protect our seniors. We want to protect ourselves.
Exactly, and I'll tell you, this is how I look at it. One day, I'm going to be 65 or older. And I want to know that in the community, there's someone who has a voice for me, who will want to come up and want to protect me if something is happening that shouldn't be happening in my life.
That's right. So very important. And so, the areas are abuse, neglect, and exploitation. And how do we explain these three things in a simple way?
So simple as far as abuse, and that's easy. All of us know what it is. If you see a bruise, you see a cut, you see something different on an individual, we need to ask the questions, how did you get your bruise? And the story needs to match, because you'd be surprised. There are people who hurt our seniors. And for neglect, that's the hard one. That's the one where as we get older, it's harder for us to do things. We may not be able to bathe on our own. Our arthritis is so bad that we can't cook because I just can't manage lifting up a pan or figuring out how to cook for myself. So we can do it to ourselves, or someone steps up and says, I'm going to take care of you, tia, abuelita, mom, and they're not caring for you the way they should. So that's neglect. And lastly is exploitation. That's where someone takes advantage of you financially for their gain or benefit. They manipulate your relationship, and they'll say, you know what, I need you to sign this document because we need more insurance on the house. And you really trust that individual, and you sign the document. And reality, you signed over the home to that person without knowing. So, you know, these little things happen in our community, and they shouldn't happen.
So it's about a wellness check, kind of, you know. Make sure that you're okay.
Yes.
Make sure that things are going well, that you're not being exploited financially, which right now it is rampant, you know, as far as people taking advantage of seniors, because they get targeted, don't they? A lot of times.
They know that they're individuals who don't want to break the law, who want to do the right thing. And so when they get that phone call and they say, this is the sheriff's office and we have a situation where we might have to come in and arrest you because we show that you did something wrong. But you know what, we can fix it over the phone right now if you like. And you know, this is how much money you need to transfer, or you need to give me your bank account number. No one like that is going to call you and ask you for information. The sheriff's office is not going to do that. The fire department is not going to ask you for a social security. The electric company is not going to say they're going to turn off your electricity, give me your bank number. No one's going to call. Everything's going to come in a letter.
A recent incident in our neighborhood where Spectrum, this gentleman was making believe he was from Spectrum with a cap and a shirt, asking for money to pay their bill because they were late on their bill, and it was an elderly person. He got into the house, and it was not a representative of Spectrum. Nobody will ask you for money. And thank goodness she called her daughter, and her daughter said, no, Mom, don't give anybody any money. Say, no, thank you. And she checked, and of course it was a scam. It was fraud. It was, and they target the elders in the neighborhood.
Yes,
so
they do. And you know, again, I'm so glad that your neighbor was willing enough to say, you know, let me call somebody first. Let me talk it out. I'm not going to tell you any of my information because, again, they are targeted.
Yes.
And I'm not trying to scare anybody out there, but we need to take care of ourselves and protect ourselves the best way we know how.
There's a number we need to have on our refrigerator door. Maybe we'll have a magnet. How can we help? How can you help?
So
APS, Adult
I'm going to
Protective
say, how can the community help to make APS a better agency? One is be a buddy to a senior. Check on them. Talk to your family members. Tell them about the scams. Educate them. If you see something strange, you see a bruise, you see a burn, all of a sudden there are family members who were never around and they're around. Why are they around? Ask the questions. And then again, if you think that you suspect something's going on, you can call the 1-800 number, which is the line to report, which is 1-800-252-5400. You're not doing anything wrong. Let us go and make sure that everything's okay. And if we think that you might need something, we'll refer, we'll connect you to services in the community,
I think that's
and
important.
give everybody a little bit of peace.
And that's important, connecting with services, because that may be all that elder needs, is just to be connected with services, maybe having someone check on them, you know, every day, make sure they're okay. And that's what it's all about, is protecting our elders. And that's what it's all about. June, very important. Okay, tell me about the World Elder Abuse Awareness.
So we have a cause, which is we want to prevent, we want to raise awareness, we want the community to know there's an agency that's here to help. So June is Elder Abuse Awareness Month. And in June, on the 15th, it's World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. And I'm asking the community, wear the color purple, just like I'm wearing today. Take a picture, put it on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and let everybody know I stand against the abuse of an elderly person. And let everybody know there's an agency that wants to help. I want the community to stand with me for my cause and to know that APS is here to help, Adult Protective Services, and that we want to make a difference in the life of a senior. If I could, I'd like to give my phone number.
Absolutely.
And my office number is 915-834-5772. If you have a question, you have a concern, you know, I saw a lot of people will call me, Mary, and say, you know what, this is happening. Is it a case? And I'll say, yes, call it in. Again, it's about the state agency being there for our seniors, especially here in El Paso. We
Yes.
want to make a difference in their lives.
You were involved last year around this time where the FBI invited you to speak along with Yvette Lugo from Area Agency on Aging to speak about and during this time, preventing elder abuse. And so on June 16th, they're going to have an event. And if you want more information on both the June 15th, you can call, of course, Grace. She's given her phone number. And I'm going to give you our phone number with the Senior Adult Program to ask us about the June 16th, which is an event that the FBI is going to have. And it's going to be virtual. And so it's going to be also in person. So we'll see how that works out. We're all pulling together.
That's what it's all about.
And now I want to ask you, you teach a class for our seniors. Do you touch on these kinds of things in your class?
Yes, I do. So my class is called Getting Older Doesn't Have to Be Hard. And it's on topics that I think will make your life a little bit better. We talk about caregiving burnouts, how to have a positive attitude. We'll talk about adult protective services. We'll talk about scams. We talk about hoarding. We talk about one really important topic is organizing your life.
Yes.
And that's in one notebook. It takes 2 classes, but in that notebook we talk about everything, how you pay your bills, all your end of life issues. Do you have a will, last will and testament, a power of attorney, a living will, advance directives, anything that will make your life more organized. So let's just say you were out gardening and you sprained your ankle. Oh my goodness, you just can't get to paying your bills because you're on the mends, you're trying to get better. Well, your friend or your children can grab your notebook and they can see what bills you do pay, what medical things you do have, what doctors you've seen, your medical history. All of those items will be in that notebook organized.
That is so cool. And I need to take that class because, I don't know how to shut down the water. If I have a leak or a flood in the house, emergency, we all have to know where everything is.
Yes, and all of that will be in that notebook.
Wonderful. We've got about a minute left. What would you like to share? Your website, your email, whatever.
So my email is Graciela, Graciela.Ortiz, Ortiz, at DFPS, David Frank Paul Sam, .Texas, spelled out TEXAS.gov, GOV. You can email me if you have questions. Again, we have a silver room. I do want to promote that, Miss Mary.
Yes.
Hence for seniors, and it's full of donations. I have hygiene items, adult underwear, bed pads, blankets, fans, little heaters. When I say hygiene items, we mean toothpaste, toothbrushes, body cream, shampoo. We also have cleaning products. Since COVID hit, we have detergent, paper towels, toilet paper, disinfectant. If you can donate something, make a difference in the life of a senior. We have so many seniors who don't make it with $700 a month. Yes. And so when we get a case, our staff can go in, put a care package together, and get them going again so that we can figure out how to help them so that they can live a better life in their home.
Grace, thank you for coming to Mature Living and sharing the fact that World Elder Abuse Awareness is coming up in June. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Mary.
And we're going to celebrate with you. We're going to do everything possible, even walk.
There you go.
And wear our purple.
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you so much. And we'll be back with more guests. I just want to take this opportunity to thank everyone that has sent me birthday wishes on May 3rd, my birthday, and I really appreciate the EPCC staff who presented me with these beautiful flowers, and of course Carol Attell and Norma Guriel from my office decorating, and of course giving me this beautiful rose, an eternal rose. So thank you so much to everybody, and hopefully we'll make it to next year, the big 80. Thank you so much. Well, thank you for staying with us here on Mature Living. As you know, we promised you a good show, we promised you a good conversation, and also education and awareness about health and about how we need to take care of ourselves. In particular, right now, our topic is going to be, we're going to be talking to some personnel. We have an administrator of the Foot Institute, Elizabeth de la Rosa's here with us. You have brought a doctor from one of your sites, one of your clinics and your offices, and you've brought Dr. George Alvarado, who's a podiatrist. So thank you doctor of podiatry, right? Did I say that right,
Yes,
doctor?
yes, it's
Very good, very good. And so we're going to be talking about how we can take care of ourselves, diabetic foot checks, when should we see the doctor. But first, let's talk about the offices. Tell me a little bit about the Foot Institute. And of course, we want to say hello to Dr. Efren de la Rosa.
Right. Well,
Related to you, I'm sure.
yes. Well, Doctor has been in business for about almost 30 years. He has 3 offices. We have one on each side of town.
Yes.
Now we're on the northeast, east side. Dr. Alvarado is our doctor on the east side office, by George Dieter. If you get on the website, you'll get all that information. And then we have another one on northeast. Northeast, we have Dr. Galindo.
Okay.
And then on the west side office, which is our main office, that's where we have our billing department. It's a little bit of a bigger office. We have 2 doctors. We see a little more patients. So we have 2 doctors. Dr. Reina Ray and Dr. De La Rosa are in charge of the west side office.
Very good. And you have quite a bit of employees, number of employees.
We do.
And
We
so-
need all that help.
Yes, and we're going to give your phone number in case somebody wants to ask
Sure,
you, and of
yes,
course
definitely.
the website in a little bit. But first, I'd like to ask, Dr. Alvarado about diabetic foot check. Okay, so why is it important for us to have a regular foot check every so often?
So for the diabetics, the reason that it's important is because some of the first complications that are seen with diabetics are seen in the foot. And the cost to the healthcare system has been so great that it's more prevention to help out with that soaring cost to the healthcare system. So it's important to establish routine checkups with
Yes.
a podiatrist to get information on how to care for your feet, if there's any conditions so that we can address them, and especially with infections, if there's an infection, to be able to keep it from progressing towards an amputation, which is what most diabetics fear. obviously.
Absolutely, it's scary. And so, how does diabetes affect our feet? What is it that happens to those nerves, or that we don't have any sense of feeling? And we go to our endocrinologists. They give us the checks and they do the labs and all that, but it's really important to do self-checks as well. But tell me what happens with diabetes and the feet.
So it's going to be a team effort. It's going to be a part of the team that every patient should have or would have is the primary care, the podiatrist or an endocrinologist, either a cardiologist or a vascular specialist, and infectious disease doctor. So we're all going to play our role. The main role that I play is making sure that we can address anything that looks like it could lead to an ulcer, an infection. For example, something as simple as a callus. What is causing that callus? Is it a deformity that you have on your foot? Is it the shoes that you're wearing? We'll also stress what the endocrinologist and the primary care may be telling them in terms of appropriate diet and how to better manage their diabetes. With the nerves, what happens is that the number one reason why the nerves are affected around the world, something that we call neuropathy, is diabetes. Okay, and it always starts the furthest away from the heart. So your feet are the furthest away. You start to experience such things as numbness, tingling, sharp shooting pains, burning in your feet. Those would be signs that the nerves are being affected. The reason that's important is because once you have that loss of sensation, the chances of you having an injury, complications such as ulcers, infections are much greater. Give you a scenario. Somebody has lost a sensation to their feet. They're walking around barefoot. They step on a piece of glass. They don't feel it. Yeah. And they don't realize that they need to seek medical attention until their foot becomes red, hot, swollen, an infection, basically.
Yes, and that's when it gets serious.
Yes.
Now, I'm thinking about when we walk into the office, and of course we meet the staff, the receptionist and the administrator, and what do you need to be able to set up an appointment to see the doctor? And it's really important to seek that evaluation, and we'll talk about what is an evaluation, what do you do, but what happens, what do you need when we walk in? Do they need to have a referral from a doctor?
Well, it all depends on their insurance. Some insurances don't require a referral, but they do need to have a picture ID and their insurance card, of course. And of course, previous to that, they have to call and make an appointment.
Yes, okay, and so then it goes from there. Let's say we got accepted and said everything's clear now. We get to go see the doctor.
Exactly.
And what is an initial evaluation that you all do? What do you look for?
So with the diabetic foot check, it's basically 4 main areas that we're evaluating. Number 1 is the blood flow. And that primarily consists of me putting my hands on the feet, feeling the major pulses of the feet, looking at the integrity of the skin, the toenails, and so forth to get signs of if there's limited blood flow. Number 2 is the sensation. We will assess the sensation to make sure that it's appropriate. And if it isn't appropriate, then we can get further tests to determine if it is more from the diabetes or are there other conditions that could be causing this as well. Number 3 is just a general look at the skin of the foot, looking for ulcers, wounds, anything that could lead to an ulcer or wound, such as a callus. And then the last part is looking at for any deformities on the foot, such as bunions, hammer toes, flat feet, high arch feet, such deformities that could cause these calluses that could lead to ulcers that could get infected and so forth.
Yes. So there's many reasons why we should go get our feet checked at the Foot Institute or any doctor that we choose. But you know, it's really important because it's about prevention, right? Before you get to a serious point. And so what can we do at home to keep our feet healthy?
So it's a lot to take in, and that's why you need to have that follow-up with your provider, in this case with me, your foot and ankle specialist, because you may not remember everything on that first visit, but what I drive home, what I stress to the diabetic, if you're going to remember anything, is make sure that you don't walk barefoot, and also to make sure that before you go to bed every night, look at your feet. Look at the bottom of your feet. If you're not able to have somebody that's in the home that can look for any injuries that you may have not noticed or felt, any areas of your foot that may look suspicious, that it could be the beginnings of a wound, and that way you can come and see us before it becomes a problem that will need a lot more treatment.
Oh my gosh. And there are so many, diabetes is prevalent in this community in El Paso and amongst our Hispanic community. And so, and I don't know if it's more men or women, they don't want to go to the doctor. So what do you tell them, doctor, when they come in, do you have to drag the husbands over there? Or
It can be difficult there, and that's one of the main points that I would tell the public is don't be afraid. The longer that you wait, the worse the problem can become, and prevention is always easier than curing. And so what I make it very clear to my patients the reason that they need to come and follow up with me. And it's always good, as much as it may seem like hard for the patient whenever they have their loved ones that are stressing to them, go see the doctor, go see the doctor. Those are probably the patients that do better because they have a support system.
Yes, and they care. Yes. Sons, daughters, come on, mom, dad, grandma, gotta take you, let's just have a little check, and don't be afraid. Don't be afraid, and it's always the best thing. Also, we don't want to get to the point of surgery. We've all known family members and friends that have gotten to the point where there's been amputations, and that's like a terrible word to say. That's at the bad state, right? So tell us about amputations and why we don't want to get to that point.
Yes. So with surgery, in terms of a diabetic, I would put it into like two general categories.
Yeah.
One is for prevention. For example, the scenario: patient comes in, they have a hammer toe, they have a lot of rubbing on the top of that toe because of that deformity in their shoe. We don't move straight to surgery. We always use conservative treatment. But if the conservative treatments fail, the chances of that callus on that hammer toe becoming an ulcer are greater, and we don't want that, because once it becomes that wound, that ulcer, it can get infected, it could lead to amputations. So we could do a surgery to straighten it, the toe, to try to prevent that from happening. On the other side, you have a patient that comes in and they have an ulcer. Okay, just because they have an ulcer doesn't mean that right away you're going to go to surgery. We have to basically determine, is it infected? If it is infected, how deep is that infection? Is it just the skin, or is it deeper, let's say, to the bone? Or is there an abscess, basically a collection of pus that's in there? So in some cases, we can go to surgery just to clean the wound,
That's good.
so that it can heal faster.
Yeah.
And in other cases, working as a team with the infectious disease doctors and the cardiologists or interventional radiologists, individuals that help with making sure that there's good blood flow. In combination with the team, we determine, is this person appropriate to take to surgery, because we may need to cut that infected bone out, drain the abscess, because there's some infections that aren't going to be able to be treated with antibiotics alone.
Yes.
But to reassure the public that it isn't always the first choice. We try to do everything that we can to save the foot.
Oh, it makes me feel so secure with doctors like Alvarado, Dr. Alvarado, Doctor of Podiatry. Thank you for this. You know, we just need to be reassured, and I think that's what need. How can they get a hold of you or any of your clinics, the Foot Institute, to be able to take care of ourselves and our feet?
Well, we have our website. It's www.thefootinstitute.com, and that should take them to all the addresses and phone numbers where they can call and make appointments.
Okay. Is there one particular phone number that's kind of the main one?
We have one, 915-532-3721, and they can call in, and if they have any questions, just feel free to call. Hopefully we'll have all the answers for them.
Well, thank you all for watching Mature Living for so many years. I've been doing this for 31 years consistently. It's been wonderful. 79 is a pretty good year
Very good.
to celebrate. I'm looking forward to 80 and next year, and I hope I'll be with you as well. Don't forget to call 915-831-7801 to ask about our senior adult program, our free classes for seniors. They're already registering, so you know, during the month of May, and the classes start in June. So we'll see you then, and thank you for being here, and thank you all for watching. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you next week.